So the paper at hand analyses the agricultural risk management system in New Zealand. It takes a wide approach, considering the interactions between all sources of risk and its subsequent management using both enterprise-driven strategies and wider government policy. It divides risk into three categories: normal or idiosyncratic, marketable or systemic, and a third type of risk, catastrophic. The author suggests that idiosyncratic risk should be dealt with at the farm level, that systemic risk should be addressed using insurance and financial markets, and catastrophic risk should be addressed by government assistance. The report both covers this risk management system and then provides recommendations for future policy with a specific focus on New Zealand's adverse events framework. To start off with, I'll cover some background information about New Zealand agriculture. The 14.7 million hectares of agricultural land contributes to 12.5% of the country's total gross domestic product. Better quality land is used for intensive pastoral exercises such as dairying, which accounts for 20% of agricultural land. 3/4 of this land is grazing land, and as such the majority of production is pastoral based rather than the extensive cropping that we see in Australia. This means that the overall profile of production risk is characteristic of livestock farming. New Zealand risk is geographically isolated. The average distance to key markets is double the OECD average and is higher than the distance borne by Australian markets. 80% of key livestock products and 50% of horticulture and wine are destined for export. Therefore, farm prices are largely determined by world market prices and fluctuations in shipping costs and the exchange rate. As such, price risk has a significant impact on New Zealand agriculture. New Zealand's climate is diverse, and this leads to the existence of a range of possible adverse events. Horticulturalists and cropping enterprises are affected by regular seasonal snowfalls, frosts, and hail. Pastoral farmers are affected by price and production changes stemming from changes in rainfall patterns. Systemic risk can cause production losses. Floods damage essential expensive infrastructure and can cause widespread landslides. Droughts affect pastoral land and animals in devastating fashion. In 2008, a prolonged event caused substantial economic loss across a large part of the country. Pests and diseases are another significant risk to the isolated New Zealand industry. A biosecurity breach would be classified as a catastrophic agricultural risk. It has low probability, is difficult to predict, and has dire consequences in the industry. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries estimates that one such risk, the outbreak of foot and mouth disease, would cost New Zealand $10 billion to pastoral enterprises in the form of lost export revenue. Previous outbreaks, such as the varroa mite, which primarily affected honeybee populations, has had a widespread effect on production output, causing an estimated 400 to 600 million New Zealand dollars in damage. So these risks can be controlled by the implementation of risk management strategies by farmers or by intelligent policy making by the New Zealand government. These come in three forms. Risk reduction is the lessening of the probability of an adverse event. Risk mitigation is the reduction of the magnitude of the damage caused by an adverse event, and risk coping is the reduction of the impact on consumption. Since the mid-1980s, the government has moved away from agricultural subsidies and towards risk aversion policy. This has considerably improved the global competitiveness of New Zealand agriculture. A flock half the size of one 25 years ago produces the same meat output. Wine exports have risen from 1 million litres in 1986 to 105 million litres in 2009. Now, there are three broad categories of risk in New Zealand. The first is catastrophic risk. It's of low probability and causes high damage. This is typically caused by a natural disaster that is beyond the farmer's control. It requires public action and government policy. Normal risks have high probability of no damage and low damage and are managed at the level of the farm. Systemic risk has medium probability and medium damage and is most appropriately managed using market instruments such as forward contracting and insurance. The majority of output risks fall into the normal category. Therefore, most of them are dealt with at the farm level. The preferred methods of risk management by farmers were enterprise diversification, product practice diversification, maintaining feed reserves, often more than 1 year but seldom more than 2, and flexibility with respect to changes in weather and markets. Routine spraying and drenching form the basis for mitigating biosecurity risk. These risks are not addressed specifically by government. Since the deregulation period in the 1980s, the government does not apply policies aimed at altering prices of imports or production factors. Instead, the New Zealand government implemented an income equalisation scheme available to those who receive more than half of their income from farming, fishing or forestry. These individuals can deposit a part of their total income into an income equalisation account, earn 3% per annum on the deposit and be exempt from taxation until it's withdrawn. This allows farmers to protect their cash flow from high-frequency risks. It has been an effective policy move. Farmers used it actively for both withdrawals and deposits in periods of flood in 2005 and in drought in 2009. In 2009, 20% of all agricultural sector income was placed into these accounts, signifying a policy that many farmers think is effective. Systemic risk in New Zealand is managed unusually. The sector is too small to have its own commodity futures market, and insurance companies have a rather limited catalogue of products. Insurance sell cover on all structures, equipment and vehicles, and can provide crop growers with protection from hail damage. Among the events not covered are damage to infrastructure as a result of natural disasters and deterioration in crop and livestock performance as a result of drought or flooding. Damage from pests and exotic diseases and variations in income due to market conditions are uninsurable in New Zealand. Farmers generally use forward contracts to mitigate price risk. A supply contract provides the farmer with certainty that he will receive a minimum price for his product in any given month and year. This is an area where the New Zealand government can do more. They can initiate consultations with insurers and other stakeholders to identify where information on risk could be improved. They can commission studies on what risks are important to farmers and work with insurers to create appropriate products. So, the government's risk management main role, therefore, is to mitigate the impact of catastrophic risk on farmers. Biosecurity policy is implemented firstly by using prevention methods such as inspections and seizures at airports and seaports. There are also comprehensive plans in place to mitigate any damage caused by a breach. These include geographical exclusion zones and enforced restriction on livestock movement. This is a testament to the country's agricultural governments that there has never been a major disease outbreak in the country, and its Biosecurity Act of 1993 was a world first and a leader in the field. So, soil and water management is another area where the government operates several funds to assist regional authorities in implementing projects on conservation and sustainable resource use. 4 separate projects are run to improve water and soil quality and to treat erosion-prone land. This in turn aids farmers and prevents the risk of landslide and flood-prone areas, reducing risk to the farmer. These policies are excellent in that they aid both the public in the long term and reduce risk for farmers in the short term. However, another OECD paper suggests that funding and affordability are real concerns for smaller and less wealthy local governments. Aid from the central government in the long run could abate these concerns. So, the government clearly has a mandate for addressing specific types of risk. However, thanks to a negative public attitude towards agriculture regulation, it has been cautious about attempting to create separate programs for all possible incomes. Instead, it has implemented an adverse events framework. When an adverse event occurs that affects one or multiple farmers, a committee decides on reaction according to the availability of risk management options, the likelihood of the event occurring again, the geographic scale of physical damage and economic impact, and the scale of social impact. The government provides evacuation, food assistance, labour assistance for clean-up, and psychological help and personal advice to those affected in the wider community. For specific enterprises, they provide tax relief, business advice, technical assistance, on-farm restoration, and exit aid if continuation of business is rendered uneconomical. If there was no commercial insurance available for the event, the government restores pasture, crops, and infrastructure. There are systemic review programs in place for this framework. Reviews are conducted with farm groups, agribusiness, local governments, and with public consultation groups. The Adverse Events Framework is therefore a broadly consulted assistance framework that reflects current public consensus concerning provision of such assistance. The OECD reviews show that there is a general appreciation by the farming community of the Adverse Events Framework. This is therefore a well thought out government policy and an excellent way to tackle these issues. Right, so as far as the actual report that I analysed goes, it was very comprehensive. It was much more in-depth than similar reports on countries with far larger agricultural sectors and therefore far larger risk management sectors. The language that was used was very applicable, and I think that it would be a very accessible report for a government minister with limited knowledge of the sector. The types of risk were explained very well, and the rationale behind each policy was explained in depth. The report, however, tended to have a very wholesome view of the sector. It took the view that the overall risk character was that of livestock farming, and I think that this could be an area of improvement considering that 25% of New Zealand agricultural production is horticultural. Thank you very much.